Howdy, my name is Glenn. A lot of you probably know me from the Cactus Atlas, and if you do, you know that I love the outdoors. So welcome to Campvue, my latest endeavor. This is going to be the first of what I'm going to be dubbing developer diaries, where I'm going to be explaining what Campvue is, what the motivation behind it is, and how I'm building it, and actually all the way down to demoing features of what you're going to see over time, over the summer as I travel and gain content for the channel, mainly the campground drive-thrus that some of you might be familiar with already. So I have a lot of exciting things to share, so let's just get straight into it and we'll see how it goes. It's going to be pretty casual. So maybe the first thing that we can talk about today is what exactly is Campvue and what's the motivation behind it. I think the easiest way to explain it is to show our current channel trailer that really explains in a nutshell what we're trying to do here.
Ever go to reserve a campsite for a special camping adventure, where the campsite photo you saw on the reservation website made the site look okay enough, but when you arrive, you have that whump whump moment when you realize the site you picked is in the section where they pack them in like sardines. Just hope your neighbors aren't the loud partying all-nighter types. Well, here at Campvue, we understand that frustration, and like you, we prefer to plan a camping trip like a pro. Here at Campvue, our goal is simple: to provide you with visualizations of campsites by way of video, with the hope that our unique perspective assists you with picking that perfect site for your upcoming trip. Now, the next time you book a site, you'll at least know what you're getting into before you arrive. Campvue, find your perfect site.
I've been camping now for the last 2 weeks, night after night after night, without a break in a tent, and I can tell you in that short amount of time, if you've seen that video, I've run into that same situation. I've been engaging with other campers, asking them about their likes and dislikes, and there's a common theme when it comes down to it, especially on reserve websites. How do you really know if you're getting a good campsite or not? And a lot of you know how bad it can suck if you get the wrong one, especially next to the wrong group, or the very unlevel sites, and the list could go on. No shade. You know what I mean. So all I'm trying to do here on Campvue is take something that already exists, so I would not dub this an invention, but rather an innovation, on trying to allow people to scout out sites in a visual manner to get as much information about a site as possible before making a selection on a reserve website especially. And really that's what these developer diaries are all about, are when I'm in the field doing some extensive travel this summer, collecting content, i.e. campground drive-through videos. I'm going to be trying to build this app simultaneously on the road, but the current phase is the content gathering phase, the #1 priority, and exposing this to the world now. I thought what better way to build an app than to immerse myself in the life day after day. So even though I said I love the outdoors, I equally love technology, and I am a software engineer by trade. That is my full-time career and what I have the most passion for. So Campvue is really an attempt for me to combine those two loves into one thing. Being that I'm a software engineer and I'm likely going to have to re-enter the workforce by the end of the summer after I'm finished with this endeavor, I want to appeal to a more technically minded audience. Also, a developer crowd I think would have an interest in this, maybe to see my process, to see me using technology in the woods to get the job done, the same job you would get done. Maybe you're lucky to have a remote job and can go camping and you're unsure if it's doable. Watch this and learn. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff, and while I am going to talk some tech, probably we'll look at a little bit of code, but I'm trying to cater to a very broad audience here, so I'm not going to get super nerdy and too difficult. So for those of you that aren't technically minded, if I do talk a little tech shop briefly, I'll keep it short. Just if it doesn't make sense, don't worry. I think there's a story that I'm going to tell here regardless to many different tastes. So with that being said, let's dive into this. I'm at Kelty Meadow, one of the fine national forest campgrounds in the Sierra National Forest, about an hour from Yosemite, south of there. So let me give you a quick tour of my current setup, and I'll show you how I'm living my life first of all, just the practical stuff. Well, welcome to my home, at least for one more night, here at Kelty Meadow Campground in the Sierra National Forest, one of the many National Forest campgrounds you can seek out if you know where to look. If you've come here from the Cactus Atlas, pretty familiar list of characters, right? Slim, that's the name of my pickup truck, and then that yellow tent you've probably been seeing in some of our latest videos. Really my standard setup, and I've been living in it now for I think about 2 weeks or something like that, or coming up on it. Tent night after night after night after night in a tent, mostly without showers or access even to water in campgrounds like this, but I'm somehow getting by perfectly. So, Campvue once again. This scene should really illustrate what my channel trailer should convey. You go on a site to pick out a campsite, they zero in on the site, but they don't really give you the context, the neighboring sites, the ones that could be quite close. And there are different types of folks. I think some like the comfort of that communal style, but others like silence and hearing the birds and not music. But one thing I'll be clear on here is everybody's been fantastic, no rules have been broken. But still, you know what I'm saying? It's like if I had better intel, I may have chosen one of the sites further down the road that you'll be able to see on our new app and YouTube channel, Campvue. So once again, this isn't an attempt to invent anything new, it's an attempt to innovate, to take a formula that exists and update it for 2024 and try to create the best user experience possible. And one of my big goals is to translate this into multiple languages, so that way we can get this information across the world where a lot of people are finding it. And I have an interesting anecdote to tell you that might actually help some people. So these last couple days have been my office days, and I've really been spending it backing up thousands of 4K clips, video content, much of which is to feed into Campvue. And I've noticed, being one of the first visible sites on this loop, a lot of campers arrive here, especially I would say international, those who English is clearly not their first language, and they're met with, they come here and they're confused, and they'll see me, and I've dealt with 4 people, so I was joking with one of the people driving through that I should get a check from the Forest Service for playing campground host a little bit, but people arrive here and they're very surprised to learn there's no water. It's remote. There's really not much here, and they have like porta potties, not actual even like regular vault toilets. So they see that and then they leave and they go get a hotel, and then the site gets not used, and a lot of this campground is underutilized even though people's names are on the reserve signs. Now technically, if you read every piece of information on recreation.gov, you would have known these things, but imagine you're planning a trip internationally. You only have so much time to work. Maybe it's not the most user-friendly. I don't even know if recreation.gov translates into multiple languages, but that's really where I want to kind of help and be kind of an intermediary in between that process. So that guy, next time, if he's shopping for a site and he knows about this, he can go there and I'll make it abundantly clear in our user experience what's here and what's not, because that was that remains to be a very common theme here at this campground. So I was actually quite amazed. Four times in one day. So that's really what I'm trying to help with, and to try to make it as user-friendly for the broadest audience internationally. Taking an existing idea, using my technical skills that I've gained well over a decade of experience developing, and building and documenting the process. You like that, don't you? So I'm on my way now to do some Campvue content gathering, which are a few of our campground drive-throughs, and I'm just like a mile away from my campground at Kelty Meadow. And you can see there's this beautiful meadow. It's all private land behind this fence, but we're parked in public land, and there's a nice little pull out here where I assume people pull over to probably just get pictures. It's very beautiful. But one of my constant needs is to be able to plot routes on Google Maps or wherever I need to go if I don't have an offline map, or just research, keeping in contact with my wife, Amy, whatever you want. I have many uses of the internet. But when you're camping deep in the woods, using a satellite solution can be a challenge, as some of you know. Getting a nice clear line to the sky with a little bit of horizon seems to be working best for me with Starlink. So I'm going to show you my setup, and that's really one of the first things I wanted to show you is my process. And normally, by this point, I'm a lot better prepared, and I prepared weeks in advance. But for various reasons, I'm where I'm at, and I'm kind of planning things on the fly for the next couple days. So here is the setup that I have, and there's a big horsefly checking out my battery. This is my Starlink setup with my power block, my Jackery, that's powering and giving me the internet right now as we speak. I know for some of you this is kindergarten. This is the introductory part of our vlog, but basically just wanted to show you how I'm working. This is really how I've been getting by in situations where I don't have clear views to the sky. When I need to do research or do something, I can go find places like this. Even cooler places up in the mountains, sitting on top of granite vistas, seeing for miles and miles. I can bring my office anywhere, and you better dang well believe I'm loving that. The only thing missing here is the solar panels. So they arrived after my trip started. They were late, so I got everything, but I'm using my car to charge that, which is not a problem. But in the very near future, my connectivity to the internet, my way of being a coder, being a developer, using laptops, will be fully powered by the sun. But admittedly, the best situation is when your campsite has a clear view to the sky and where you're going to be plopping down for a few nights. You're going to have connectivity, and I've experienced that at a good place was Sunset Campground at my campsite there. Had a view down the Sierra, open view to the sky, and never had any issues connecting. I could just sit at my campsite, chill out, get on my laptop, and do my thing. Working in the field has its perks also, because when you're out here, the actual private landowner, the lady that owns this ranch, drove by, saw me admiring it, told me about the history of it, even invited me for a private tour of the ranch and beer. So after I told her what I'm building, Campvue. And in fact, when I told her the concept of it, she was rah, 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 cheering me on. So if this lady ever sees this, thank you for that feedback. And I'm actually solving a real problem, it sounds like, the more I learn and talk to people. That's why I find it so helpful to live in the field day after day after day. I am learning so much. There are things that I never even thought about incorporating into my application that now I think are going to be essentials. And it goes a little bit beyond just picking the perfect campsite. Perhaps it's where's your Glenn's favorite internet cafes. I don't know if I want to recommend this one because I'd feel bad because the private landowner, she's a nice lady, but I don't want to advertise this one. But my spot on top of the High Sierra, heck yeah. The qualifications, you need shade, you need the clear view to the sky and the views. So it's not just going to be all about where can I connect. You got to have the views to go with it to qualify for Campvue certified. And day by day, even though I'm still very in the beginning stages of developing features for Campvue, I couldn't trade the experience being out here for anything. All right, so now that we have connectivity, let me show you what I'm up to, and we're gonna work inside the cab, inside the comfort of the vehicle in the shade. We'll leave this stuff out here for a little bit, should be okay. All right, so here's the next phase. Normally this is something that I would do before I start a trip, and trust me, I did everything I could to plan on a very short time frame, and I did plan quite a bit leading up to today. You haven't seen the almost 2 weeks of me camping to know I'm kind of towards the tail end. But I'm about an hour south of Yosemite in the Sierra National Forest, and one thing that I've been doing is collecting and doing campground drive-throughs of all of the national forests, starting down by Kernville, California, actually starting in Joshua Tree Park, went to Kernville, came up the Sierra, Sequoia National Forest, Sierra National Forest, and then my next destinations are yet to come, but rinse and repeat, same idea. So what I need to do is on days like today, I've got a setup on my roof that I'll show you that allows me to record these campground drive-through videos. It's really a simple thing. I'll show you what I do. And then I have a spreadsheet here with all of the campgrounds. Don't worry about the color scheme here. It makes something to me. It means something to me, but all of these orange ones, I think, are the ones in this area. So these green ones I knocked off already. So, but basically I'm going to plot routes using Google Maps and my connectivity to figure out the optimal order to hit these all in. Because most likely, I mean, these things aren't like right next door. I might have an hour's worth of driving or 45 minutes worth of driving one way to hit the furthest one out and then come back. When we get to the campground, I'll explain the methodology to you and how it goes. It's pretty quick usually, but basically, you know, you could see down here on this trip, I mean, there's different statuses of what I was able to do and not able to do, but basically you can see these are campgrounds that I've either already visited and filmed or have yet to visit. Quite a lot already. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on this activity, just figure out the optimal way to go and use my connectivity via Starlink, pack it on up, and then we're going to hit the back roads here and I'm going to go find these campgrounds and I'm going to go film them. So before we leave this meadow, although I have everything packed up and ready to go, I'm going to just kind of show you my process for how I actually film these campgrounds, and pretty easy to explain. Have 3 GoPros magnetically mounted to the roof of my vehicle, and I run them all at the same time. I try to drive through the campground, ideally in sequence, starting with site 1 all the way through to the end. That's not always possible. Sometimes it's quite a puzzle to figure out, but at the very least, the goal is to get every little nook and cranny of the campground whilst filming. Another thing that I find works well, in case you want to make campground videos too, is I typically try to conduct my business in the middle of the day, like usually like 10 a.m. all the way up to like 3 or 4 sometimes is pretty good, even in national parks, because that's when everybody's gone. And oftentimes a lot of people have checked out and the new people haven't come in yet. So there's a lot more vacant sites. And that's what I'm ideally after. Although it is helpful, I think, to see other people's setups as you're kind of panning by. But I find, for whatever reason, as me and a camper that has that need, just playing around with this simple setup I find is pretty effective, at least for judging a couple things. You can kind of see a site better as it moves by, but also you can see what's next to it, which I think is what's really missing from a lot of still photography. And basically what I do is just plot, I find out where all the campgrounds are located. In this case, most of them except for 1, or maybe 2, I should say, are all in sequence along a lake. So I'm gonna go knock those out. And then I've got a couple kind of outliers to get done, and then back to the campground probably to take care of my needs after that. And that's really the gist of that. I wanted to kind of film some of the roads back here right now, but I'm on such a tight time frame that I have to prioritize business over this, because the content creation portion of this, kind of in the content gathering phase, and without the content there is no app. So #1 priority right now for Campvue, even above these developer diaries, is making sure I hit as many of these things as I can. I'm on a roll, don't want to mess it up now. So what I'll do is I'm going to go get some business done and we'll hook up again and we'll see what's next to do for the day. All right, we're back from business and I came back to my campground. And have you ever camped in the middle of a free grazing herd of cows? And they're not dumb either. They saw me coming back and I caught one nosing my chair. Wasn't doing anything bad. It was just playing with it, I think. And they see people coming back and now they're heading back to the meadow over there. You guys know you're not doing the right thing. I know you know that. They seem afraid of me, but I was talking to one of the private landowners that owns land right over this way, and she says that they're used to her. So I'm guessing cows. I always mention how they're so skittish on my adventures, but Hey, what are you guys doing? Huh? What are you doing? Are you doing good things? You're a big one. See, you're not as afraid of other people, are you? You're just eating. Hey. What you doing? What you doing? Uh-oh, sorry. All right, so now those guys have moved on. It's funny, nobody was over here, and I arrived, and somebody else arrived, and I think the cows knew they're not supposed to be over here. And I was trying to say, we got to watch where we step now. And they did leave some surprises over on that side, but I didn't see anything in my campsite. So thank goodness there's no patties waiting for me. Anyway, so now you see what my temporary life is like living out here and what I've been up to. So kind of a balance between this Campvue stuff and then, you know, building up content for our other YouTube channel while I'm traveling and trying to kill two birds with one stone. And you have these awesome moments like this that are so unexpected. So I have a little bit of planning left, I would say, and some transfer of digital files, but for the most part, now's the part where I need to eat dinner and take care of myself. And I'm going to share a little bit about how I do that for such extended periods of time quite easily. If you've been following me around on my other stuff, my other channel, the Cactus Atlas, you know I'm no stranger to camping. I've been doing this for years now. And usually when I go camping, I don't go on such extended trips like I'm finding myself on this summer. And one of the challenges is eating right and making sure eating enough, getting enough calories is usually my issue. And especially when you're in remote locations like the Sierra Nevada, where, I mean, you can go whole days with, if you pass like a mom and pop convenience store, you're in good shape some days. So what I opted to do is to kind of go the way of the hiker. And this is basically, outside of some like cold cuts and cold drinks in a cooler, this is basically my caloric needs for the entire trip. And I've been kind of working on it, but I have been eating dehydrated meals that hikers would eat, albeit I think I bought kind of more high-end brands, and I could tell you I've not had one that I dislike yet, because I'm pretty much rolling from sunrise to sunset and then some on most days when I'm traveling. Yeah, just even making dinner, having to clean up dishes, all of the things you have to do when you're camping takes time, and I really need to maximize my time. So if all I need to do is boil water and pour it into a bag and get a delicious tasting meal, sign me up. The only difficulty on a given night is choosing which one. I think tonight, I'm gonna make one here for you so you can kind of see what I'm doing. My organization is starting to fall apart late in the trip here. Had that one last night. I'm gonna try this. This is a new one I've not had yet. Sweet pork and rice. Now you might think this is weird that there's real meat in here, because there is. I have some with chicken, with beef, and this one's pork. I've had chicken and beef, I've not yet had pork. So this sounds like kind of maybe a slightly Asian inspired thing maybe. And it's got some vegetables in it and stuff, so this is what we're having. So this is what I called Old Faithful, my little one burner Coleman butane. I've used this thing so much now, but yeah, if you can just boil water, then you can camp. I don't think I need to show you every step of this, but basically all you do is you rip off the top of this bag. It's just all dehydrated dry stuff. Like if there's rice or pasta, it's all like hard. And then same with the meats that are in there, completely dry. Then you just pour in whatever, like this one wants, wow, 1 cup of water, that's more than usual. And then you stir it really good, seal it, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then open the bag and eat it. And then you got like a whole meal. And yeah, it does actually, kind of what the picture looks like, I would say that's accurate. Never having eaten one of those types of meals, not really have ever been an overnight backpacker or anything like that. I've never really, I thought they would just be horrible and nasty. And some of those things are better than I've had people's homemade. Maybe that's not saying so good about people that make it. And it's not Amy, by the way, my wife. But I'm quite surprised. We'll see how this one tastes. All of them have been fantastic so far, and I'm not just saying that. I can tell you to date, my favorite has been this one. I bought 3 of these and it was a good choice. It has mushrooms, beef, and it's like beef stroganoff. If you've had beef stroganoff, and it tastes just like it. And that's essentially the magic here in how I've been eating and fueling myself for the most part. And it's been working really well for me. And I'm not saying it's the perfect model of health, because some of those things are really high in sodium and other things, but you know, trust me, compared to when I'm usually doing this and I have to make food and stuff, when I get really busy, I oftentimes deprioritize eating, which is horrible. And that's not a good way to conduct yourself. You need energy to power the mind. So I usually like to eat like earlier than a lot of people do, because usually I'm heading to bed. I'm usually in the tent before 8 usually, you know, when the sun starts to go down, and I get up really early. Tomorrow I might be wanting to get up around like 4, for example. So 8 o'clock is pushing it if you want to get up at 4. It's interesting, I just got this bag out and started making crinkly sounds. And these guys must get treats or something like that, because these two especially, you two, are looking for something. Yeah, but no. What do you want? Do you guys think I have something yummy? Now that I'm paying attention to you, you walk away. Anyway, now I'm waiting the 10 minutes for my food to finish. I had to put something over it because I over tore the bag, and there's one spot where there's a hole, so I'm trying to keep the heat in, or else my yum yums won't taste right, I fear. All right, here's the final product. Give you a peek. Smells wonderful. Looks like the picture pretty much. And let's see how it eats. Okay, so I have not had this one. If it's no good, I'll be honest. Let's see. Can you see kind of what that looks like? Tastes like something you could make at home. I mean, rice, beans, there's black beans in it, peppers. But I would say out of all of the sauces, it's a really sweet flavor. And out of all of them, usually this isn't my combo, but this is the best one of all the sauces that's really got the most flavor. The only caveat I would say, if you eat these, is occasionally you get like a little slight crunch on some of the dehydrated bits, like just here and there, but it's not unpleasant to me at all. You'd think it would be, and it's not as extreme as it sounds, but for the most part, it tastes like a fresh meal. So I think I'm gonna scarf this down, sit and relax for a moment, and then we'll chat a little bit more. I know this is gonna be less than ideal, but you're looking at Campvue. You're looking at one of the files of Campvue. That's the actual code that I'm writing here for the actual app. And this is the current state of the app, or you'll probably call it a web page, but it's an app, and you can see in my address bar, I'm not running it. It's not on the internet. Well, it is, but not accessible by you guys yet. There is a domain, campvue.com, that is mine, and that is where you'll actually end up seeing this very soon. But this is really just, I'm designing the home page and the layout and figuring out ad placement. Yes, we are going to make some money off of ads as part of my business plan, but clean in an unannoying way, I hope. But one thing I'll point out is to watch the load. Here I have the ability for you to change between light and dark mode. And it will pick up your system preference if you have light or dark mode in your operating system. So it'll default to that. So if you like dark mode, that's what you'll get, and it's a fully responsive page. The only thing that's not loading because I'm offline is I've got a YouTube iframe here that's pulling in my new channel trailer, but I don't have the internet hooked up. But essentially, this is where you will come to click on a campground, and as a user, you'll be able to create a user account, write your own reviews, upvote probably reviews, things like that, maybe kind of Yelp-like, but more importantly, you'll click on this and you'll get campground information as well as video in the form of campground drive-thrus in multiple languages. So I'm trying to distribute this in Europe, Asia, anywhere my AI allows me to go, which has been very successful so far. Did a test in Russian and had somebody validate it, and they said it was good. All right, so I'm gonna now I talked about internationalization, and it's not just gonna be text, it's going to be audio, in video also. And I did a test and I translated something using Slim, if you know who Slim is, my AI companion, my truck's voice, and translated something into Russian.
Кемпинг Sunset – один из двух благоустроенных кемпингов на территории национального парка Брайс-Каньон. Далее следует поездка 21 мая 2024 года. Мы надеемся, что это видео поможет...
And I'm experimenting with, I think this was simplified Chinese, I can't remember, but...
日落露营地是布莱斯峡谷国家公园内2个已开发的露营地之一。接下来是2024年。
So what I'm basically saying is I'm going to be delivering the actual Campvue videos where there's audio narration in multiple languages. And now some of you on the Cactus Atlas that really didn't like the AI, maybe more of my motivations behind the scenes are coming to light, because I sure as heck can't do that. And I can't afford to be hiring translators, right? But the Russian translation, according to my Russian developer friend, said it was a high quality translation with no accent. The Chinese one, I don't know. I haven't validated that against anybody. But the main thing is, to start off, I'm not looking for perfection. If it sounds like really bad grammar, but the point comes across, I'm going to start somewhere. You know, you got to fail sometimes too. There's truth to that. So this is going to be like a really cool endeavor, and I think it's actually super doable. Now, I'm not going to give away all of my feature ideas right here in this time, because you know, there are other people out there doing this with their own way, but I have my own kind of model in mind for this. And like I said, I'm not looking to get rich on this, but I think over time, you know, with my learnings about other things, this will be another revenue stream in the household, which can become a passive one if need be. Just like the YouTube channel, because we always get paid on old content when you guys see commercials. So that was probably really difficult in a whirlwind tour, but I wanted to kind of show visually that where it's at. And I attacked the layout, the CSS, the styling, all of the design stuff, because that's my weakest area, to be honest, because that's what I'm more of a, I like to work, you know, munge data together today and like merge objects and do like stuff like that. Probably I enjoy more of the back end, if you guys know what that is, but I know a lot about the front end too. I've done a lot of that in my career, and I think I'm going to do a video on the next developer diary that talks about the actual architecture of what I've used to build that, which is a little preview. It's a Next.js pipeline, currently hosting it on Versal, and on the free tier, but I'm heavily considering just going all the way with it because it has everything I need. I'm going to go with a Postgres database. I'm cool with that. And even when I want to use something like object storage, I think there's a JSON-B data field. There's a lot you can do. And if it's part of there, I haven't really fully explored the full architecture. The other option is going to be AWS. And that's going to be a different presentation also, because I've been reading articles about, I think, starting off in Vercel on their architecture is probably very affordable at first, but as you scale up, I think it can become more expensive compared to AWS when it scales up later. But I think migrating architectures in my power, I could do whatever I want, whenever I want. So that's kind of a preview of maybe the next video is, what am I building it with? Why did I choose that? My methodology, how am I designing the experience, and all of that kind of stuff. And this is why we can't have nice things. You know, I've not really, this is my first one of these, and I plan on maybe, you know, they'll get refined. They really are agendaless. It's unlike what I do for the Cactus Atlas. For that, I plan, I know where I'm going. I've got itineraries on spreadsheets. If you saw it, some people would think I'm nuts. Some of you have seen it. But for these, I just want it to be more organic. I may not even put music in these, although that's hard to do. Amy and I love our little musics, but we'll see. I'm going to be pretty much handling all the Campvue stuff because Amy's busy with Cactus Atlas full time now. When you live in a campground for like 3 days in the Sierra Nevada, buried in here, I mean, it becomes a home away from home. When you pull into the driveway at night from wherever you've been, like for work for the day, like I had, you get that feeling like, oh, it's time to make dinner. And after doing it day after day after day, it just becomes almost normal. And I could do it for a very long time. I do like my creature comforts. I do like a good shower, but for the serenity and the peace of mind and the ability to build something, I think that's going to be helpful to people and really feel like I'm contributing to a problem, to trying to improve it. I mean, why not? Oh, you guys want to see what's going to happen over time? That's why you're going to want to subscribe, right? You want to support me, and that's really the best way to do it. Not asking anything else. Subscribing will help me get closer to monetizing this channel. But not only that, watching the content to build up our watch hours, because without that, the subscriber count doesn't really matter. That's not how it works. So I'm appealing to you. If you want to cheer me on, you want to support me, do that. But do it because you want to. Do it because you want to see this, or do it because you like campground drive-thrus. I do. I find them relaxing. I was gonna keep this one going, but I'm gonna keep it nice and tidy, I think, and keep it all Kelty Meadow. Our first meeting, I hope I got my main points across, and I want to say thank you once again, and I'll see you on the next one whenever that is. Bye.